In this video, we are on a whirlwind tour of the city of Venice, and we've got 20 things here you must know before visiting this place. The first thing you should know about Venice is you've got to be very intentional on where you want to stay. Are you going to stay at a hotel right in the heart of Venice? That's going to cost you a lot of money. Or are you going to commute from off of the island? That's fine, but there are some hassles with that. Parking is tricky. And you also got to make sure, what are you going to do with your luggage? If you're staying at a hotel right in Venice, you've got to haul it in or hire a water taxi. At the very end of this video, I'm going to show you what we did during our time in Venice. You will get lost in Venice. That's part of the fun. There are so many narrow passageways just like this. And guess what? Your smartphone GPS is not going to work very well here. So you've got to just familiarize yourself with the city a little bit. Know how to read the signage. But chances are you are going to get lost at one point or another. So just make sure you have a plan and have everybody kind of know where you're going to meet or where you're going. It's my opinion, but I think the shopping is really good in Venice. The souvenirs, the trinkets that you can buy, you've got the Murano blown glass, you've got the different masks. There's just a lot of different things that you can get here, and it's a little bit more posh, a little nicer than other famous tourist destinations. Along with the handicrafts, you also have a lot of high-end clothing stores. I found a green blazer that I really liked, so I purchased it. There are just a lot of different places to shop if that's your thing. Along with that, I'll include original artwork from street vendors. We found a really cool painting near St. Mark's Square that we decided to buy for our travel wall. One thing people don't realize about Venice is it was the economic capital of the known world for over 500 years. Much more recent than Rome, Venice was dominant in trading and economics. It was the wealthiest city in the world between about the years 900 all the way till the late 1400s. You see this incredible wealth as you're walking through Doge's Palace, or shown here in the St. Mark's Cathedral, which is also known as the Cathedral of Gold. Everything is just so opulent here in Venice. When you visit Venice, you're going to spend some time in St. Mark's Square. This is the heart of Venice. You can go to Doge's Palace, you can visit St. Mark's Cathedral, or you can make your way to the top of the Campanile, which is the bell tower, for a small fee. What you can't do, don't make the mistake of sitting down on any of the steps surrounding St. Mark's Square. They will not let you do this. No sitting down at St. Mark's Square.
David is upset because in St. Mark's Square, they do not let you sit down, right?
Yeah.
So he was going to protest it.
By
Go
sitting
see if he sits down and just kind of sprawls out, what happens. Are they really going to enforce it?
Mistake number 2 that we made, picking a random restaurant in Venice. You want to do some research beforehand. Try to find a place on TripAdvisor that has some good ratings. There are a lot of fabulous restaurants here in Venice. I've had dinner at a number of them. However, this place we found was not so good. If you're just trying to go from place to place and using your judgment, you're probably going to miss. It's best to do the research, read the reviews. You're going to save yourself some time and a mediocre meal. These mussels were actually pretty good, but everybody else kind of didn't like this place. Now, our server here was a little bit rude and he was expecting a big tip. And a modest tip of 5 to 10% is appropriate. Just make sure they haven't already added a service charge to your bill. Now, if you want the best of Venice, the key is to avoid the crowds. And we got a little bit lucky because it had rained earlier in the day and that had scared away a lot of the crowds, even though this was June, technically the beginning of high season. When you come to Venice, just expect a crowd, and if it happens to be there's not a big crowd on the day you're there, consider yourself lucky. Or you may want to try booking in off-season, November to March. Smack dab in the middle of Venice, halfway between the parking complexes and St. Mark's Square, you're going to find Rialto Bridge. This is a huge attraction. It's a gorgeous bridge. It spans 75 feet over the Grand Canal. You're going to want to push your way in and get some pictures here. You're not going to be alone. This bridge is going to be crowded. But this bridge has a unique and interesting history. It was originally built back in 1173. There were a few different variations. It was built of timber, it burned down, they rebuilt it, and at one point in time it collapsed as a number of people were rushing across it to go see the Duke get married. They rebuilt it in its current form around 1591, and it's been the same ever since. Now, there are a lot of vendors, a lot of shops in and around this bridge, and you can also catch yourself a gondola ride or a boat ride. If you want a gondola ride, it's going to cost you 80 euros for a 30 to 40 minute gondola ride. This is regulated, so don't try to negotiate. All the gondola prices are the same. You're going to pay extra if you want them to sing to you as well. We couldn't fit our family of 7 into one gondola, and we were more interested in a motorized boat tour anyway, so that's the direction we went. We ended up spending 150 euros and hired our own private boat and private tour guide for 1 hour. This was ideal for our family. There are cheaper ways to do this. You can grab one of these other boats and share with dozens of other tourists. You're going to save a lot of money, but for the experience, I do recommend spending your money on hiring a private boat. Of course, once everybody was on the boat and we were underway, it was picture time, which in the case of my family isn't always smiles and laughs.
Ben, up here. Hurry, David and Ben, get the picture. Hurry, quick. Hurry, quick. Please, David.
You're gonna kill me.
Oh, Ben.
What?
Sit right here. Don't sit on me. Ow. Ben, stop it.
How is this my fault?
Take a picture.
Our boat tour in Venice was one of my favorite memories, not just of our time in Italy, but of our entire European trip. I think part of the reason was it was an ideal time to go. It was cloud cover, so it wasn't too hot. It was very comfortable, and it was just surreal. The architecture here is amazing. You're looking at a lot of Gothic architecture with Byzantine influence. It's really otherworldly as you're passing through these canals, both the Grand Canal and some of the other smaller canals that our boat operator navigated us through. One reason to go on a motorized boat tour instead of a gondola ride is you just get to see so much more of the city. Our boat operator head out into the lagoon. We drove around for a bit. We ventured through the Grand Canal. You just get to see so much more of Venice. Our guide had a lot of interesting information about Venice. One thing I didn't realize is the depth of the Grand Canal is about 17 feet deep. That's about 5 meters, which is deeper than much of the surrounding lagoon. Our guide drove us by the hospital with all of the water ambulances. And he even let me take the helm of the boat for a few minutes, which was fun. Our guide also doubled as a photographer. This was very useful a number of times, especially as we passed St. Mark's Square from the waterside. He got some great pictures of our family. In the end, I think it's absolutely worth it to hire your own private boat tour for 1 hour. Money well spent. Early in this video, I mentioned I would share where we stayed during our time in Venice. We opted to stay outside of the city. Now, the place we stayed was about an hour south of Venice, called the Isamar Holiday Village. So we commuted from here into Venice. But it was perfect for us. It had some water slides, had some swimming, and we really needed this for our family, a little rest and relaxation on what's already been a long trip. Of course, the disadvantage is we had to drive up and back to Venice. But the pool was worth it. We also got a kick out of this guy, a photographer for the pool, who kept taking pictures of my sons. Final summary for Venice: plan ahead. This is a city that rewards those who plan a little bit ahead of time. Know where you're going to stay and have an idea on what restaurants you want to eat and what places you want to see in the city. It's probably not a destination you're going to be at for 3 or 4 days. 1 or 2 is probably enough, but plan ahead of time, do your research, and come with a little bit of spending money as well, because Venice has some of the best souvenirs in all of Europe.